Matthew David Fritz, and welcome to another episode where we go under the hood to look at the nuanced techniques of chords of a man music. Today we're going to be looking at how we created the effects to make the unique sounds in our release called A Measure of Life. This song has a jazzy sound to it at first, and it also has some special effects, and most of the song is really just a drum and or two drums and cello, where we actually use the cello to play bass notes, so to make it sound like an upright bass. And there's a little bit of jazzy piano sprinkled in and a guitar solo, but mostly it's just the drums and the bass. So I'm going to show you what we did to create these effects. I think it's somewhat fascinating. First of all, we have the snare drum. The snare drum is very versatile, and it has a snare wire on the bottom of it, if you can see that, which makes it sound very unique. Otherwise, it would just sound more like a tom. And you can disable that. There's a lever here on the side where I can enable the snare wire or disable it. And it can also adjust the tension. If I disable it, it sounds more like a tom, which essentially that's what it is. And then if you enable the snare wire, then it sounds like a traditional snare drum. And you can play this with either sticks or you can play with brushes. So for the jazzy part of this song, I use the brushes, and I set the snare wire to a very loose tension. So it resonates. It kind of hangs out a little bit. And then what we did was basically just use a basic jazz pattern where you're circling the one brush, grabbing that texture on the head, and then just tapping with the other brush. And it's very light, very easy, but it creates kind of a jazzy sound, and then you could put a bass over that, and it just sounds like you're in a jazz cabaret. But the other thing that you could do with it is also use the sticks. And in general, what we like to do is tighten up the snare wire a little bit more than what we had it with the jazzy brush tone, because it's going to take a little bit more impact. And this is almost like a firecracker sound. Now, if you notice, I have something on top of here. This is a dampener. This is just something homemade. I just had a piece of plastic and I have weights inside of it. But you know, some drummers you'll see will put like they'll put a glove on there. They'll put a wallet on there, something that just dampens that tone so it doesn't ring. You can hear kind of a ringing tone without it, and when I put something on there, it just tightens it up and compresses that ringing tone. So the other thing you could do, and the other thing that we did in this song, was use this sound for prosody, or we tried to match the music to what we were saying in the song. And there's one line that says, that talks about a chain reaction. It said, if love's vain attraction would spark a chain reaction. And I thought, well, that would be neat to create this firecracker chain reaction, like as a chain reaction of explosions going off. And I thought the best way to do that is use the snare drum. So again, tighten up the snare wire for this one. And I want to hit in the middle of the snare drum where it's mostly dead, more dead sounding. Over to the side, it rattles a lot more and gives you more of a ringing tone. And definitely we'll put the dampener on so it doesn't ring out. And then what I did was I just basically played what in my mind was kind of a firecrackery chain reaction sound. It was something like this. And then I captured that with the microphones and I placed it into the song at a strategic spot, and I'll show you that. The other thing we used, the other drum, is the cajon, and I've demonstrated this before. This cajon actually, you probably can't see it, but on the inside of it, I actually put a snare and it's controlled by this dial here. When it's engaged, the snare is up. The snare wires are up against the backside of this tapa, or the face of this. And when it's disengaged, they're up. It's muted. They're against a bar that mutes them, and it sounds more like a kind of a bongo or something. So usually I play it with it engaged because it gives it a little bit more resonance. It gives it some more good distortion. And in this case, for this song, I wanted to use this for the chorus of the song. So it had a pattern something like this. Okay, and you can hear the resonance from that snare wire. If I disable it, it sounds more, dry, but when it's enabled, it gives it a little bit more depth. So I recorded those samples for the song. I'm going to insert them into my workstation, and we're going to show you that now and show you how I placed it in to create the effects that I wanted. Here's the brushes, and here's the bass. If true. Okay, so that's that part, and then here in the center of the screen I have the snare drum where I hit it with the sticks to create that firecracker effect. And I will play the line leading up to that, and also these. If love's vain attraction would spark a chain reaction, turning your heart far away. So that's the only place in the song that I have those, and that is very strategic. It's because I wanted to implement an element of prosody where I'm trying to match the music to the content of the lyrics. And the last part of the song that includes a drum is the cajon. So here I have the cajon in the middle of the screen, and you can hear what that sounds like by itself. This here is the bass kick drum part of it, and this here is more of the face of the cajon, or the tapa. You can hear the difference. That's without the kick part, and this is just the kick part. So I use different microphones to pick those up. And all together in the song. Could God's own appearing infuse you with fearing you'd stray? It's the end of the brushes. Here's the cajon. Could I wield all the wisdom in the world? Would it ever compare to a pearl of worth? So I hope you enjoyed that episode, and stay tuned. We will have more episodes coming up where we go under the hood to look at more nuanced techniques of chords of a man music. Take care, and we'll see you later.